Borneo is home to one of the greatest concentrations of orchids of anywhere in the world. The Borneo Orchid Expedition takes you to see many of the island's most incredible orchids in their natural habitats. Our 16-day itinerary takes you from the misty summit of Mount Kinabalu through beautiful mossy cloud forest to the depths of tall rainforests, so you can admire and photograph a vast range of orchids from the highlands to the lowlands. Big as rats. We then drive deep into the interior of Sarawak to visit Mount Murud, home to one of the So how do you feel seeing Muluensis?
Fantastic. I'm absolutely thrilled.
Oh.
Made my day. Much more so than it had already been made, so.
We then drive back towards Mount Kinabalu and towards our final destination, Mount Trus Madi. Along the way, we can stop at reserves to see giant Rafflesia flowers. And on reaching Mount Trus Madi, we trek out into the forest and begin our last climb. Once again, we see a wide diversity of beautiful orchids. And we camp out on the slopes of the mountain for the night. And for those that want to, an early start around the campfire reveals unforgettable sunrise views as the epic scale of Borneo's wilderness is revealed in the early morning light. We then return to climbing and ascend up into some of the most beautiful and pristine mossy cloud forest anywhere in the world. Here, every tree trunk and twig is literally covered with moss, orchids and lichen, and amongst them is the stunning Nepenthes macrophylla and the beautiful Nepenthes loei. The views from the summit are simply breathtaking, especially as the clouds roll over. After a full day of exploring, it's time to descend and return back down to the lowlands, concluding our epic expedition exploring the incredible diversity of orchids of Borneo. To secure a place on this expedition, or to learn more about our many different eco-friendly trips to other amazing destinations, please visit our website.